guy in the NBA should ever wear 23.
I've been working on that shot my whole life, and for that one to go in, that was liberating right there, man.
And I'm not shoving it aside, like it don't mean anything. I know it's important. I do. I honestly do. But we talking about
23 Shots of JD podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the 23 Shots of JD podcast. Again, the podcast coming a bit later than usual. Just a multitude of reasons for that. I guess one of the reasons just a pretty busy day, a pretty busy week really. Friday I had to do some basketball coaching and stuff like that, and then on Saturday I had a mate that's was sort of farewelling because he's gonna be gone for a while. So all that happening, and then just on top of it as well, just a clusterfuck of NBA news, just jam packed. I think I said it last podcast that the NBA never fails to not give me anything to talk about, and the last week's probably the greatest example of that because so much has happened. A lot has happened, and ironically, a lot has happened and a lot hasn't happened. You know what I mean? The moves have been made, moves have not been made, and sort of a lot of projections, a lot of predictions have been put out there that could really change the landscape of the NBA for all we know. Just there's so many interlinking parts, and ironically, everything that's happened over the week, everything that I've mentioned, all sort of linked together, and each of them influence each other in a way. So, there's a lot of things to start, but I think it's appropriate to probably start in the chronological order. So early in the week, it came very apparent that, according to Woj, Anthony Davis has officially asked for a trade from the New Orleans Pelicans. So a lot of speculation has come over that in the past couple, probably since the beginning of the season. A lot of people saw AD, especially his move and his change of representation to Clutch Sports, saw the signs of him potentially going to the Lakers because he signed with Clutch Sports. Obviously the affiliations with LeBron James and stuff like that. It's sort of, it's insinuating some potential things happening in the future, if you want to call that lightly. And Anthony Davis requested a trade. I think there was a lot of reasons why he would have requested a trade. I think at the beginning of the season, perhaps maybe he might have been thinking that he wanted to get traded, but I don't think it was really to the extent where he would have asked for it, especially this early on into this quickly. You know what I mean? Because if you think, just rewind back to last year, even though the Pelicans didn't finish that, well in the regular season, they did make it to the second round, and if things went their way, they had, Rondo healthy and stuff like that in the Warriors series. A lot of things could have gone their way, but, I think they wanted to bounce back, rebuild, and potentially look to not only get back to the second round, but even push into the Western Conference Finals, because they do, I know there's a lot of sort of hatred towards what the Pelicans have, but they do have a decent roster around them. They got Drew Holiday, who is putting up really great numbers. I think if the Pelicans were in a better position, he could have potentially been an all-star again. Assists, points, his defense. He's one of the best defenders at his position as well. So really, he's a great guy. There's nothing just to laugh at about Drew Holiday. He is a very, very good and very sort of prolific player. And then you have Julius Randle as well, who is putting up numbers. I think nearly a double-double off the bench. I had him slated as my sixth man. Don't think that's going to probably happen now because just with all the things happening around New Orleans and his personal play, I think he's injured as well, so it doesn't really work out well for him so far. And then you even see someone like Jahlil Okafor, who's really been thriving under the injury cloud of Anthony Davis, putting up basically 20 and 10 numbers with two to three blocks a game. Again, I'm not the stats guy, so don't hold me to it. Don't tweet at me going, bro, you actually average 1.7 blocks a game, not 2 to 3. It's I get it, mate. I get it. But they do have a decent roster around them. Again, Etwan Moore, Solomon Hill. I know Nikola Mirotic has been injured, so he's really been in and out of the lineup, which is unfortunate. And it's something that's been a recurring theme for the New Orleans Pelicans. Obviously, last year you had, DeMarcus Cousins, Drew Holiday's been in and out, and when they had Eric Gordon on the team, Eric Gordon in and out, Ryan Anderson as well in and out. Just New Orleans, ever since Davis got there, so basically 6.5 years, they've always had some injury woes, let it be to Davis or even his supporting cast. So it's a bit tough for the Pelicans to be in this type of situation, but it's just sort of how it goes sometimes. But yeah, he asked for a trade, Anthony Davis, and automatically everyone assumed it was gonna, this is the Lakers. He wants to go to the Lakers. The Lakers want him. He wants to go to the Lakers. It seems pretty clear. Even though he himself went to the Pelicans and he even told the media that he didn't specifically ask to get traded to the Lakers. I think it's sort of guilty by circumstantial evidence. Like if a lot of people think you want to go to the Lakers, there's a reason why they think you want to go to the Lakers. So I think it's pretty clear he wants to go to the Lakers, and the Lakers have been pushing to try and get him. And it sort of got to this sort of stalemate thing where there's rumors that the Pelicans aren't answering any of the Lakers calls and stuff like that, and then the Lakers just put out their report. Again, this is all alleged. This is their alleged first offer when it was Lonzo, Kuzma, Rondo, Beasley, and then I think a first round pick as well. So they're putting out offers there, trying to test the water, see what's going to happen. I think it's going to be a situation where what's the best for the Pelicans and what's going to be best for the Lakers. And I think for the Pelicans, it's quite clear what they want to do. I think they want to rebuild. They still have their first round pick. Usually they trade it every year, but they got their first round pick this time. And I think, especially how the West is and how competitive it is, if they can sort of tank, get a bit lower, and try and get a top 10 pick, maybe even a top 5 pick, depending on how badly they really play, that could be a jump start to their rebuild, on top of potentially trading Davis maybe now or in the future, and then trying to get across some more assets as well. So it's really, really interesting to see what the Pelicans can do. Obviously they can trade to the Lakers. I think they could probably squeeze out a bit more than what the Lakers initially offered. I think they could even get Lonzo, Kuzma, and Ingram, and maybe some more first-round picks. I don't know how the finances really work. Maybe the Lakers will have to take on like a Solomon Hill contract or something like that. But obviously there's a lot of things and a lot of players that the Pelicans could really just ask for, because it is Anthony Davis. And if you're the Lakers, you've missed out on Paul George. It's getting less and less positive if Kawhi Leonard's going to go there, and now you have an opportunity to get Anthony Davis. Like I said, you fluffed it with the PG situation. You assumed that he was going to go to the Lakers, and unlike Anthony Davis either, Paul George voiced his want to go to Los Angeles. He voiced it, and they still didn't seal the deal. So if the Lakers have this opportunity to get Anthony Davis, they definitely have to jump on it. And I think you just offer everything. You have to offer everything. It would be disrespectful to not offer anything, because let's be honest, Anthony Davis, when it's all said and done, can or even will be regarded as probably the best power forward at his position. He's been putting up ridiculous numbers. It's like 29 and 13. Like 3 blocks, whatever. Like, this guy's an animal. 5 assists. He does everything, and the way he can complement LeBron James is even more. So I think for the Lakers, you gotta, get your hands out of your pants. Stop touching the balls and just get to action, mate. Get to action and really put out something. And the funny thing is, like, it is a two-way street. I like how the media and even me just literally just saying like the Lakers have to push out everything they can, but the Pelicans have to accept it. And as I said earlier, the Pelicans have sort of avoided the Lakers like a dirty ex-girlfriend or something. They just don't want to talk to him anymore. Like, no, we're not gonna take your phone calls. Blah 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 blah. Like they've really become stringent on it, and the Pelicans are in an interesting situation. Like I said, they could trade to the Lakers, get the young guys, get a first round pick, tank a little bit as well, and try and build their own individual first round pick, and then you got a good young core. But is it really that good young core? I think it's good. I personally think it's really good. Lonzo, I think, is a future All-Star. I know everyone that's listened to the podcast before knows I'm a big Lonzo homer, but I really think this guy has All-Star potential. I think he's the most special out of anyone in the Lakers. And then Brandon Ingram, putting on that performance, that 36-point performance recently, that nasty dunk on Corey Brewer and all that. I think he's probably the next high potential. I think he's got a lot of potential as well. And then Kuzma, I'm not down on Kuzma, but I think he's sort of a one-trick pony. I think we've sort of seen what he produces, and I think everyone's in love with him because he's got that dog factor. He can score, but I think he's very limited to what he can do. He's not a playmaker. He's not the greatest rebounder. He's very, very inefficient on defense. So there is a lot of flaws to his game that sort of makes me think that he's not going to be as great as everyone else thinks. But I hope he really proves me wrong. And on top of that, you got your first round pick. So the Pelicans can do that, or comparatively, the Pelicans can just sit out the trade talks for this season, and reconvene and do it come when the trade window opens again after the season. Because then they got more players and more people are willing to do it. And when we're talking about more players and more people willing to do the trades, it's basically just the Boston Celtics. Everyone's on the Boston Celtics saying that he could potentially go there. It's always been circling that they've been wanting Anthony Davis for a long time, apparently like a year and a half, according to some reports. So they really are interested in Anthony Davis. Are Anthony Davis interested in the Celtics? Probably not. I'm not too sure. Are they willing to sacrifice a Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown or Gordon Hayward for a 1-year rental of Anthony Davis? I'm not sure, but people might say, why do you think it'd be a 1-year rental? If he's on a championship contender with Kyrie, why would he only want to be there for 1 year? I don't know, maybe because his dad doesn't want him to play for the Celtics, and obviously Anthony Davis is a grown man. He can make his own decisions, but the voice of a dad, your dad's voice holds a lot of weight. My dad's voice holds a lot of weight. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are fortunate to have dads around and stuff like that, can say that their dad's hold a big voice, So, besides that point, I think that's an interesting play for the Celtics. Again, I think you offer everyone except for Kyrie Irving, which it will be interesting because I will get to Kyrie Irving later in the podcast and sort of what his plans are for the future. But at least for Anthony Davis and more importantly the Pelicans, there is a lot of options for them to see what they can do. But if they are willing to hold on to Anthony Davis and then reconvene come the next trade window, they have to be cautious to see what they're gonna do. Do they still want to be a contender? Because then they might need to they might need to trade some other players and then try and build around and just try and salvage this year and then sacrifice your draft pick. Or do you sit Anthony Davis down and say, sorry bro, you're not gonna play anymore? Sorry bro, you're not gonna play because we want to tank and try and get Zion Williamson. And a lot of people said, a lot of Chris Broussard said, just send him to Chicago. When I mean send him, not trade him to Chicago. Just say, go back home to Chicago, chill there, and then we'll come get you when you're about to get traded and stuff like that. And it's like, in theory, sure, you could just be like, yeah, mate, you're not gonna play. We're just gonna shut down. We're not gonna play. But the man wants to play. He's voiced that sentiment to everyone, even in his media day, that he wants to play. When he comes back to the Pelicans, he wants to play. And you're not just gonna, you're just not gonna deny him. And it's like, I know the Pelicans at the moment are very far out, but who knows? Maybe they could salvage a little bit of the season and still go up there. But if you really if you really want to do, like, in my opinion, if you really just want to go all in and just try and tank, I think just trade Anthony Davis now and get what the Lakers can offer. Because I think what the Lakers can offer is better than the Celtics. And a lot of people disagree with me with that. People think that Jason Tatum's going to be the best. And I think Jason Tatum is going to be good. But what are we looking at Jason Tatum? Are we looking at, you know, a transformative small forward who is going to be one of the best players in the game, like maybe a Kevin Durant per se? Or he's going to be like a good, solid role player, but would need some other supporting pieces, like a Paul George, or, you know, like who's another small forward. You know what I mean? So you sort of catching my drift when I say Paul George, like one of those types of players where it's like, yes, he's good, and yes, people think that Paul George is an MVP candidate now, but people don't forget that Westbrook is aiding him in this MVP discussion for him. And that Jason Tatum, was Jason Tatum going to be the Don like Kevin Durant? I don't know. Obviously, it's all, you know, projections and stuff like that at this point. But, you know, we got to be real with ourselves. And is Jason Tatum really going to be that good? Who knows? Who really knows? But I think personally, they would try like Jason Tatum, Terry Rozier. The thing is, like, they've got the picks. The picks is the most important part. And it really depends how much stock you put in those picks, and especially at least this upcoming drafts, because even though there is a lot of good players, I think it is a very top-heavy draft. I think from 10, maybe 12 down, it's probably very, very good, very, very exciting players. But from maybe 13 up, I'm not too sure. And obviously, every year there's these people that get picked in the late first round, second round, and all that stuff that end up being fantastic players. Even undrafted players become fantastic players quite often. But, you know, if you really want to put that much stock into draft picks, sure you can. But in my personal opinion, I'd rather get the proven, at least more tangible assets. Lonzo, obviously up and down season. We know what this guy has provided. He can provide triple doubles. He's a very prolific passer, one of the most gifted passers in the league, and he's an improving shooter every game. And I know that whilst Lonzo and his team think that the Pelicans have a proven point guard, which one, Drew Holiday doesn't play point guard, he plays shooting guard, and if you think Alfred Payton's a proven point guard, he literally got shipped out of the Phoenix Suns, who need a point guard. That's the one team that needs a point guard, and he got shipped out. So if you think he's a proven point guard, then I'd be concerned to what you think that Lonzo is. But, you know, just also on a tangent on Lonzo and his team, and when I mean his team, LeVar Ball, pardon the pun, but very ballsy move to say, a very ballsy move to try and dictate your destination and see where you go and stuff like that. Very ballsy move. I respect it, but very ballsy move. Going out there saying, oh, we would prefer not to go to the Pelicans. We'd rather go to the New York Knicks or what was the other one? Chicago Bulls. Was it? Yeah, or I think Phoenix Suns in there as well. If the opportunity arose for a 3-team trade, please trade us somewhere else. Which ballsy move, guys, ballsy move. But you know, it's just sort of sucks for these small market teams like the Pelicans who get these generational type players and then they go and have to get moved on. And you know, I saw Tracy McGrady in the Jump said that they're gonna have, you know, the Pelicans could have a better idea or better willpower to try and build a team around, and that's good. But I think the Pelicans did that. Don't you think? The Pelicans did that. If you like, a lot of the comparisons is to Giannis and the Bucks. If you look at the Bucks, what the Bucks built, let's see what have they built. They've got obviously Giannis, Chris Middleton, who is an all-star, congratulations. Eric Bledsoe, who is a pretty decent point guard, not the best point guard, but pretty decent. Brook Lopez, who was exiled by the Lakers. Cool. I know he's playing well, but let's just not forget who Brook Lopez is. He's a glorified 7-foot shooting guard. Okay, that's what he is. He doesn't. The guy doesn't rebound at all. And then a power. Who even plays power for them? I'm trying to think. I don't even know. I don't even know who plays power forward for them, because I have minimal care for anyone in the Bucks except for Giannis. But look at the Pelicans. You got obviously Davis, Drew Holiday, sure chucking Alfred Payton, Etwan Moore, Ian Clark, Solomon Hill, Nikola Mirotic, Julius Randle. It's sort of very comparable. The person I'm forgetting on the Bucks is Malcolm Brogdon, which he's a very good player as well. But it's very comparable. You wouldn't say like the Bucks are superiorly better, and you wouldn't even say Giannis is a superior player to Anthony Davis. I feel like Anthony Davis provides a lot more, at least defensively. Offensively, pretty much the same. Maybe not assist wise, but Davis can shoot. He puts up big numbers. And I think what Giannis provides in the assist category is undermatched to what Anthony Davis can provide in the defensive categories. So, they have very much the same team, but, it just hasn't transpired because of the injuries and things, like I said. So, can we really, villainize Dell Demps and all those guys for not building a successful team around him? It's just a matter of circumstance. So I don't think it's one of those situations where you can just say you small market teams just need to do better. It's like they've done their best, and unfortunately their best is not good enough. Maybe letting go DeMarcus Cousins wasn't the smartest choice, but the man was coming off a really bad leg injury. An Achilles injury is lethal. Ask Elton Brand that. It's a lethal injury. So it's just one of those situations, and it's unfortunate for the Pelicans because the Pelicans sort of one of the teams I like to just watch and root for because one because they have Anthony Davis, but two it's just like it's just a city that you want to root for. They've gone through so much. Just talk about at least sporting in the last week and a bit, the last couple of weeks. With the whole Saint situation and all that. The pass interference rule and all that. So it's just unfortunate that the New Orleans sporting scene is just getting a battering right now, and who knows, maybe there might not even be a New Orleans team coming in the future, but maybe that's a discussion for another day. One of the other sort of teams that I was going to mention in the Anthony Davis sweepstakes was the New York Knicks, and perhaps if I made this podcast early in the week, I would have talked about how the Knicks were in the conversation to get him, that the trade assets too. They have some of the pieces that maybe the Pelicans might want, and plus with the star play and Porzingis being sat out, maybe that helps them tank even further to get that number 1 draft pick. But that's all in hindsight because Porzingis, as reported, has been traded to the Dallas Mavericks. Yes, you heard me correctly. A European kid, 7'3", that can shoot, is a unicorn, is getting traded to the Dallas Mavericks. What can we say about that? Jesus, a massive trade. How did we even come to this? It sort of felt like the Mavericks weren't really on the radar for that. As I mentioned, if anything was going to happen, Anthony Davis and Porzingis, that could have been a comparable trade. But, I'll sort of get to perhaps my reasoning why that never happened. But why did this happen? Why did, at least on the New York Knicks side, why did Kristaps Porzingis get traded? Well, he just didn't want to be there. I could have gone so much longer, but he just didn't want to be there. I think the writing was, the writing was on the wall when he didn't show up for the exit interview, and I think he's had a lot of pushback with the New York Knicks organization. I don't think he likes how they run things, and I feel like I think maybe he feels underappreciated. Maybe not underappreciated by the fans, because the fans are one of the most rabid fans, one of the most knowledgeable basketball fans. So I don't think it's the fans, but I think it's definitely the franchise. He just feels, at least him and his team feel, that it's just not a place for him to be. And, it became apparent because as the season progressed, he was being less and less frequently seen amongst, the staff, management, the players, the fans, everything. He sort of just became slowly more and more anonymous and, not a part of the team. So I think it was clear that Kristaps Porzingis and his team wanted to change. And with him, due up for his rookie extension, which you would think he would probably be asking for the max. So not probably, he definitely will be asking for the max. And if you're the Knicks, it is a interesting position to be in. It is definitely an interesting position to be in, and I sort of leave it for there with the Knicks, because I do want to get into the Knicks a lot more in depth, and that's sort of going to play into what I'm going to talk about later with Porzingis and why he left, and sort of how that sort of whole convoluted situation entails to be interesting for what the Knicks are going to do in the future. But obviously there was another team on that side, and that was the Dallas Mavericks. How sort of blissful it is that with the twilight career of Dirk Nowitzki, a 7-foot European guy that can shoot threes, how his twilight of his career is going to be usurped by a 7-foot plus European shooter. It's sort of like it was sort of like ironically, it was sort of like when Tim Duncan left and then Kawhi was taking over, a quiet leader, as we thought. But it's funny how Porzingis ended up on the Mavs. And if you're a Mavs fan or just look at the Mavs, how'd you do this? It is a great move. Obviously, like I said, I'm going to get into what the Knicks did and all that stuff, but it is a great move by the Mavs, I think. I think they've realized that they're a team that's not a free agent destination. I think they've thought, or maybe they've hoped and anticipated that they have more pull and more swag within the free agency market, but not being able to steal any of the big plays. And like, you could even steal DeAndre Jordan first time. So they have struggled to bring in quality, high regarded free agents. And I think they've realized the draft is a way to go, trades is a way to go, and they've been able to do both. Getting Luka Doncic, who's putting up monster numbers, and then obviously getting Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn. The man's a unicorn. It's insane. And with that tandem, plus you got to count Harrison Barnes, decent player. In the trade, they got Tim Hardaway Jr. as well, decent player. So they got a lot of good. They're on their way to building a great big three, a great sort of a great just overall franchise. I think. With Doncic coming in, I think they've realized that. I wouldn't say they need to act now, but let's sort of like looked around and like, let's build something special right now. Let's just not wait and build through the draft all the time, because they're notoriously not known to build through the draft. I know they got Nowitzki and stuff like that, but notoriously they're not really known to build through the draft. And I think they looked at each other and was like, let's make some moves. Let's make some money moves, big boy moves, big baller moves, if you want to say that. So, pairing up two of the European studs in Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis is probably a great way to start. Obviously, friends. I don't know how close friends. They're definitely more than acquaintances, and they're more than people that just know each other. I think they actually are friends. The European community within the NBA is, I feel like tight-knit, very small, and, usually gravitate towards each other. So, I don't think there's going to be any conflict there. It's more thinking, what Porzingis is going to come back as. Is he going to be that insane borderline MVP candidate we saw in the first half of the 2017-2018 season, where just before he tore up his knee, he was showing signs of just an absolute stud player? There's a reason why this guy's called the unicorn. This guy shoots threes and blocks a prolific amount of shots. He's like Anthony Davis, except he shoots threes at a more prolific and more consistent level. Just put that in perspective. But is he going to be that, or is his knees going to fail him? Because the man's 7'3" and built like string beans. 7'3" and built like string beans is not really the best combination for for play, just coming off a torn ACL. And I think it will take some time for him to rebuild and regain that confidence in his knee and stuff like that. I myself, someone who's had multiple knee injuries, know that it does take a lot of time to try and get that confidence back in your knee, try and believe in that knee, and sometimes you overcompensate with your other knee, and your other knee could get injured as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how Porzingis will come back as, but if he's anywhere close to what he was able to produce, maybe like 85 to 90%, I think the Mavericks really have something strong together, because you only need Porzingis to be at 90% of his individual best, because I think Doncic will put him over and give him that 10 to 20% extra juice that he needs to be his best, be better than he was at the Knicks even. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think that tandem is ridiculously good. I don't know if we'll see them this year. I think Mark Cuban came out and said that it's likely that Porzingis is going to miss that, but it was a bit strange that he said that, because one of the core reasons why he didn't, he wanted to leave the Knicks is because he wanted to play. He felt like he was healthy, he was ready to get back, because I don't want to say that knee injuries have become commonplace, but most of the time, maybe it's 9 months now, 7, 8, 9 months. We see people come back from horrific knee injuries. So, it's been just over a year for Porzingis ever since he's got injured. So, perhaps maybe he feels a little more confident than, the Knicks training staff was in him wanting to return. But, I don't know, it's interesting that Mark Cuban came out and said that he looks like he's not going to come back for this season. Because I don't think the Mavericks have their pick either. It might be lightly protected. I'm not sure. I don't think that their pick's a bit weird. So I don't know why, but who knows? Maybe we'll see Porzingis and Doncic line up before season ends. But we'll see that. But obviously with Porzingis coming into the Mavericks, someone would have to get shipped out, and if you had no idea that this trade happened, and you had to predict who the Mavs traded, perhaps maybe it was the guy that was in all the trade rumors, right? Yes, it was. It was Dennis Smith Jr. that got traded, and I think it sort of goes now. It's sort of gone full circle, because everyone was saying that the Knicks should draft Dennis Smith Jr. Then they draft Frankie Ntilikina. And then somehow they got Dennis Smith Jr. and Frankie Ntilikina. So perhaps maybe you can even look at it as a perspective that they got the 7th and the 9th pick. Cool. That's cool. But now you just got a lot of point guards on your team, buddy. Just a lot of point guards. But who knows? Maybe I think they see a lot in Dennis Smith Jr. What do I see in him? A decent player. Probably a pretty good player. Maybe 1 or 2 All-Stars here and there. But I don't think he's going to be a transformational player. I don't think he's he's so dynamic. I don't think he's like a De'Aaron Fox or Lonzo Ball type caliber player, but I think he can be a great player in his own respect. And if the Knicks think that he has a lot of potential, I wouldn't be surprised if they play him a lot, and we can see sort of what he can do. But Dennis Smith Jr. is going to have a lot of opportunity to show what he can do at the Garden. Obviously, putting up a triple double literally the game before for the Mavericks against New York. So maybe that's a good impression. That was good enough for the New York Knicks to be like, okay, you got a triple double, we'll take you now. But congrats to DSJ, man. You're gonna have an opportunity to play and showcase why people had you in high regard. But we'll see what happens. On top of that, they got DeAndre Jordan and Wesley Matthews, which, I think they had to, just bring in because it was going to be a salary dump for the Mavericks. Sorry, not the Mavericks, a salary dump for New York Knicks because they are expiring contracts. It'd be interesting to see what happens with those two players, because I think both of them are lucrative pieces to potentially a championship team, especially if they get bought out. I think there's been a lot of rumors that Wesley Matthews might go to the 76ers or the Warriors, depending on, the buyout situation. And, DeAndre Jordan as well might get bought out, and he might get picked up by another team looking for a more maybe dynamic center, or more defensive-minded center. Plus, it doesn't really help the Knicks in the Zion sweepstakes if you have, those two players as well, because they're veteran guys. they're gonna try and play and win. They're not gonna try and lose. So they are probably gonna be a hindrance to the whole Zion sweepstakes, which you definitely want to be a part of. And yeah, I think the New York Knicks they're looking good. They're looking interesting. I don't think they're looking good. They're looking very interesting, and that sort of leads me to how all of this sort of fits together. I think people were thinking that Anthony Davis could go to the Knicks for Porzingis, and then let's be honest, if Porzingis was on the table and they were shopping around Porzingis, for sure the Pelicans got a phone call and they didn't say that they didn't want Porzingis, so that's why he ended up at the Mavericks. So maybe they're more hesitant on his knee injuries and stuff like that. Maybe they just want to prove and play, or maybe they just want to hold off from the trades and all that. But I think it's more importantly on the Knicks side that it was a showcase that they wanted to move on, and try and build a different team. A team not built through the draft, but built through free agency. And this sort of leads me talking about the New York Knicks free agency play and sort of their confidence in free agency and what they believe they can get. And they think they can get a lot. They think they can get a lot. And they freed up 2 max contract spots. Thanks to letting go of Courtney Lee in that trade, and Tim Hardaway Jr. obviously. But yeah, it's weird. It's interesting the New York Knicks free agency play, because I think, especially for myself, but maybe a lot of people as well, we thought that the centerpiece and the cornerstone aspect of them selling their franchise to potential players that want to play there is Porzingis. They say, look, we might get the number 1 draft pick, so there's a potential that you might get Zion Williamson, and on top of that, you get Porzingis to play with. He hopefully comes back healthy, and then you as well get to play. So you're basically building a really solid, basically automatically get a top 3. But now with Porzingis gone, it's sort of, people sort of scratch their heads like, your main selling point is gone. So how is this gonna work? And I guess they think they've got Kevin Durant in the bag. I think they got Kevin Durant in the bag. People have not said that it's likely that Kevin Durant is going to go there, or that it's probable that he's going to go there. People are saying that it's nearly written in the contract that this man is going to the New York Knicks. He's going to go there, re-sign, and try and revive this. Let's be honest, this battered franchise. And if you have that much confidence that you think you're going to get Kevin Durant for sure, bold move, man. Bold move by the New York Knicks. I have to tell you that. That is a bold move to have that much confidence that you're going to get Kevin Durant. And especially putting your confidence in someone that's, let's be honest, fickle-minded at times. Fickle-minded at times, and is currently in a position with the Warriors where he could build one of the greatest, if not the greatest team of all time. Build a dynasty, basically win championships at will, basically when they want to. And you think you're that confident that he's gonna sacrifice all the benefits of that. Not only just the basketball side, but the financial side, the money he can get from Golden State, the money that's accessible. I know New York has Wall Street, they have the financial districts and all that stuff, even the fashion districts, Soho and all that. So yeah, maybe that's more Kevin Durant's lane, but that Silicon money is juicy. That is some juicy money that they have in Silicon Valley. And he's definitely, we all know that he's investing some money. And that tech money, that is dumb good. So, I know who really knows what's in Kevin Durant's mind. But if the Knicks are that certain for sure, perhaps they're jostling for a position to where they're going to get Kevin Durant. And then hopefully Kevin Durant is going to tell someone else. I don't know how the collusion thing works and all this. There's going to be so much collusion that the NBA can't keep up. If they find $50,000 for Anthony Davis for insinuating that he wanted to go to the Lakers, then geez, man, good luck trying to hand out fines to all these players, especially Kevin Durant and whoever's going to talk to in this collusion case that is potentially the New York Knicks. Kevin Durant, they think he's getting it for sure. And who is Kevin Durant friends with? I don't know. Kyrie Irving. He's friends with Kyrie Irving. Oh, who was on the list that Kyrie Irving wanted to get traded to? Oh, the New York Knicks. Oh, interesting. That sort of lines up pretty well. That lines up pretty well for the New York Knicks, doesn't it? Maybe Kyrie. Who else? I'm pretty sure he's friends with Jimmy Butler. He probably is. Jimmy Butler? He's not bad. Jimmy Butler and Kevin Durant in New York, wreaking havoc on the court and in the streets, in the clubs. I don't know. That could be pretty interesting. Oh, who else is DeMarcus Cousins? So does Kevin Durant play with DeMarcus Cousins? He's got a direct line to DeMarcus Cousins. He can just say, "Hey, DeMarcus, let's go to New York." Sure, bro. That could happen. Oh wait, so Kemba Walker is a free agent? Oh wait, he's from New York as well? Kevin Durant, Kemba Walker? There's so many options that the New York Knicks have, and it's all sort of predicated on how confident they are in getting Kevin Durant. And you don't want to see a repeat of the 2010 situation. They were very confident that LeBron James was going to be there. There was that whole situation where he went to a Indians versus Yankees game, was wearing the Yankees hat. Everyone in New York was jacking themselves off because they thought they were going to get LeBron James, which, as we know, is and most likely won't ever happen. So, to say that they have that much confidence in Kevin Durant coming to their team is very, very, very surprising, at least for me. And with what we've seen from the Knicks in the past 20 years, God, and I know it's new management and all that stuff. They got people that are not used to having a losing mentality on that team, new GM and all that other garbage, but it's New York. Like, we all know New York, Empire State, all that stuff, Times Square. We know what the mirage and the allure that New York has, but we know what the basketball franchise is, so who knows? And, they do have a little old competitor called the Brooklyn Nets, so that's going to be interesting. One thing I really want to address as well is the way NBA media has not only influenced sort of the trade discussions, but how it's really a dictator of these trade discussions, and how they sort of put pressure on all these franchises to do the moves that media puts out there. And I know media is putting out, let's be honest, they're putting out majority facts. Like, these are facts that they've heard from other executives or people close to the players or something, that people with inside information, basically. And most of these are facts, but it's sort of like, when they go, oh, it's a given that the Pelicans, it's a given that Anthony Davis is going to get traded to the Lakers. Anthony Davis can't trade himself to the Lakers. The Pelicans have to trade himself to the Lakers. And just by putting that out there in the media, think about if you're Dell Demps and the Pelicans management team, and you're seeing on ESPN, Fox Sports, all these media outlets, all these major media outlets, Wall Street Journal, NBC, ABC, everywhere, NBA on TNT, everything, everywhere, they're saying that you're going to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers. What is the innate reaction that someone that would see that have? What would I do? What would anyone do? Everyone's going to be like, no, screw that. I'm not going to sell them to the Lakers just to prove all the media wrong. Perhaps maybe the Lakers do have the best trade offer. Maybe they really love Lonzo, Kyle Kuzma, and Brandon Ingram, but out of spite, they don't want to deal with the Lakers because of how everyone assumes that he's going to get traded to the Lakers. You see, you sort of see what I'm saying. You're saying that LeBron is, it's a given that Anthony Davis is going to go to the Lakers now. No, the Pelicans don't have to do that now. And I think they're going to be like, you know what, Woj? Screw you. We're not doing that. LeBron? Oh, you said, no, we're not doing that. Clutch Sports? Screw you. Middle finger. Not only that, we're going to investigate you for collusion. This is sort of what the media is doing to these trade situations. They're putting it out there. Now, let's be honest, sports is a very egocentric, game. It's sport, it's just what it is. A lot of egos play. And Dell Demps is not going to act beta to Magic Johnson and Rob Pelinka. No, he's not going to do that. He's definitely not going to do that. He's going to stand up and basically give a middle finger to everyone that thinks he should get traded to the Lakers. And maybe I'm gassing it up a lot, and maybe he will end up trading it to the Lakers. A lot of people think he's gonna get traded to the Lakers, but if I'm the Pelicans management, I'm just like, yo, I don't care, because I know this deal is gonna be there in the summertime. You guys can wait. I don't owe you anything. Like how Kyrie said to the Boston Celtics, "Oh, I don't owe you anything." Or not to the Boston Celtics, said to the media, "I don't owe anyone anything. Talk to me in July 1st. That's, again, the Celtics know that. The Celtics are like, oh, you don't owe anyone to anything? Well, we don't owe anything to you. So we could trade you before the trade deadline. That could be a possibility. Same as Porzingis. We don't owe anything to you. See you later, ship you out. Let's just not forget the pull that the media has in dictating a lot of what happens with these teams. We saw with Lonzo getting drafted by the Lakers. All this media attention. Oh, the Lakers. No one gave media attention to him going to Philadelphia. If it was really that good, why wasn't he the number one pick? Everyone gave him that attention. But no, it was all the Lakers. And sure, the Lakers could have gave it a middle finger and said, no, we're not going to get you. We're going to get Jason Tatum instead. But no, they sort of, maybe they didn't fall into the trap. But they've now created the illusion that they have fallen into the trap. And then Magic Johnson he not only fell into the trap, he tied himself, he handcuffed himself to the trap. When he said that, he's going to be a future Hall of Fame, he's going to be in the rafters. He fed into the media. The media does all this. You're feeding the beast. And I love the media. Woj, everything, I love them, but it's going to come to a point where what you're reporting is going to directly fall in the face of the teams, and they're going to say, nah, we're not going to do that just because you said that you think we're going to do that. Especially ever since who was it? Was it Washington got clowned? Or was it the Suns? One of them got clowned because they thought they're getting Dylan Brooks, but it was actually Marshawn Brooks. The media has a lot of power, and I think it's become more power than ever, especially with this whole Anthony Davis to the Lakers situation, where the Pelicans, they're going to stand their ground. Not only are they standing their ground for the small market teams, because they are in very much a representation of the small market teams pushing back and fighting against these big franchises trying to get whatever they want. But two, they're putting their foot down because they don't want the media to dictate their story. They don't want the media to dictate their narrative. They want to create their own narrative. And who knows, maybe Anthony Davis gets traded to the Bulls for Zach LaVine and Wendell Carter Jr. I don't know. Who knows what could happen? There's so many things that could happen, but I'm going to be very surprised if any relationship with the Lakers and Anthony Davis happens under the Pelicans' watch. Out of the pure fact they just want to be salty to the Lakers because the media thinks that they're going to send them to the Lakers. So, sort of just what it is. I think we'll try and get off a lot of this trade talk, this whole LeBrow town thing, this Donzingis, this whole Durving type stuff. We're going to try and get away from all these players teaming up on different teams and all this, and we'll go to what was recently announced was the All-Star Reserves, and I broke that down quite extensively in my last podcast to who I picked and stuff like that. So if you haven't listened to it, definitely check that out, because I basically hit on every single prediction except for one, which I'll sort of get to. Technically, you could say I didn't hit first time on the Eastern Conference one because I had D'Angelo Russell wasn't part of it, but I already, prefaced that by saying that Victor Oladipo would get picked, and then someone. I thought maybe Kyle Lowry wouldn't get picked first time, but he did get picked first time. So this time it was D'Angelo Russell. But I got that pretty. Let's be honest, that was spot on. That's basically spot on. And also congratulations to whoever was voting and that they voted for Victor Oladipo. I don't know when they voted. I don't know if it was like ages ago before his injury and stuff like that. But good on them for selecting him because he definitely deserves to be an All-Star. And at least that gets to sit on his resume that he was an All-Star. Even though, he had a pretty horrific injury where we might not even see him for a while. But good on Victor Oladipo and good on the NBA doing that stuff. It's quite kind. So I got every single one right in the East. In the West, I basically got all of them right except for one. And, a lot of people might say, it's sort of the one that I wanted to, the person I wanted to get in, was sort of iffy to get. Like, he was sort of right there on the cusp. And then the other guy that did get in, was again one. It was one of those like tradable ones. But I think it's just people just like Karl Anthony Towns. I don't like him because his team sucks. I know he's putting up monster numbers, but it gets to a point where these are empty stats. If people are going to say that Nikola Vucevic had the empty stats, when are we going to start saying that Karl Anthony Towns has empty stats? Like, let's just be honest with each other. I know he's a number one pick. He's more of a shiny piece. A lot of the GMs and executives and coaches and stuff have him as one of the best young players. Blah, 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 blah. But I think Tobias Harris is much more deserving. The Clippers need a representation. Very, very important. I think that the Clippers deserve representation, but it's just what it is. Unfortunate Tobias Harris, but I'm not going to be one of those guys that down someone that hard for getting something. So congratulations to Karl Anthony Towns. Do I think you deserve it? Probably not, but nonetheless, you're there. Good on you. Also, the Utah Jazz organization and more importantly, Rudy Gobert was upset that there was no representation for the Utah Jazz. I think it didn't come down to that they didn't deserve someone, but I think it was more that they split votes and that Donovan Mitchell got some votes, Rudy Gobert got some votes, and then because of that, no one was really on top of the other, and there wasn't really a unanimous figure coming out of Utah. To the people clowning on Rudy Gobert for crying, fuck you, Draymond, fuck you, Andre Iguodala. I know maybe you don't like Rudy Gobert, but the man was crying because his mum was crying about how unjust it was he wasn't in the All-Star game. Okay? And you're saying if he's crying because he's a mummy's boy, you guys can go shove your finger up your ass, mate, because no one gives a fuck about your opinion then. Because Draymond, we don't care about what you think. And Andre Iguodala, really, bro? Really, you think you're that cool? Clowning on a guy that's crying because his mum was upset and crying herself that her son didn't make the All-Star game, even though he's one of the best defensive players. He's having a double-double. And his team's tops, a playoff team in the West. Come on, Draymond and Andre. And there was definitely a lot more. It's just, these are the more notable ones I saw. There was definitely a lot more, but to those laughing at this guy crying because he's basically a mummy's boy and he loves his mum, you guys are actual losers. Like, legitimate losers. Like, people that really have nothing, Like, cool, mate, you're a professional basketball player, but if you're going to laugh at somebody like that, that's just not only disrespectful and unkind and, you're a dick, but more so, you're just a loser. Alright. That's just what it is. But yeah, obviously, congratulations. Gee, it's a bit weird to transition from there, but obviously, congratulations to all the All-Stars that were able to, get selected. A lot of first-timers. D'Angelo Russell proving the Lakers wrong. Ben Simmons finally usurping all the people that got picked ahead of him last year. A la Goran Dragic. Who else? There is a couple first-timers. So congratulations to all the reserves. And one thing I want to say also, and this is probably the closing statement for the podcast as well. Congratulations to Adam Silver. I want to say congratulations to Adam Silver because a lot of people, I said, a lot of people, I know Adam Silver's the best commissioner in sports. president. I don't know how if they have commissioners in other sports. I don't know if their title are different. But what he does for his sport and how he represents his sport and what he pioneers essentially for a sport is much greater to anything I've ever heard. Roger Goodell, go fuck yourself. You know, a lot of these commissioners don't do what Adam Silver does, and he takes risk. He takes risk, and sometimes he will be laughed at, sometimes he will be hated at. But he takes risk, and I think the one that he did for the All-Star game where he basically put in a legacy spot, meaning that Dwayne Wade gets to be an All-Star and Dirk Nowitzki gets to be an All-Star, is not only amazing and fantastic, but shows how Adam Silver listens to the fans. And I know there might be some fans that said, oh, is 15 All-Stars not enough, Dirk? Oh, you made like over 12 All-Stars, Dwayne Wade, don't you really need more? It's not about that. It's not about accumulating stuff for your resume and accumulating stuff for your Hall of Fame candidacy. This is about showing respect to these first-class superstar players who not only gave us immense value through entertainment, but gave immense value monetarily to the NBA, and more so just provided a great face to the NBA. And I know people will probably put out there like, oh, what about Vince Carter? What about blah, blah, blah? Vince Carter's not Dwayne Wade. Vince Carter's not Dirk Nowitzki. Yes, he won the dunk contest. Yes, for several years he was one of the highest voted All-Star players. But that was ages ago. He wasn't consistent. He's not an NBA champion. He didn't revolutionize the position like Dirk Nowitzki. He's not a top 5 player in his position like Dwayne Wade. Like, we sort of forget Dwayne Wade's a top 5 shooting guard of all time. We forget that. He might be number 3. At least top 5, but could be even number 4. Because we know it's MJ, or we'll probably say it's Kobe. Dwayne Wade, 3 championships, Finals MVP, gold medalist. Let's not kid ourselves that Dwayne Wade deserves to be in that conversation for top 5 shooting guard, if not even top 3 shooting guard. So that's why he deserves to be there. Dirk Nowitzki, as I said, revolutionized his position. Why do we see all these 7-foot people? I was going to say a word rhyming with unts because I'm an Aussie, but I refrain. Well, why do we see all these 7-foot people shooting? Why do we see a league that sort of spread the floor and we see these stretch fights? Because Dirk Nowitzki pioneered that. What did Vince Carter pioneer? Yes, he had amazing dunks. Yes, he dunked over a 7-foot guy in the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Yes, he had one of the greatest dunk contests of all time. Yes, he had an amazing couple of seasons with Toronto, where after he backstabbed them and told them he wanted to leave in one of the worst fashions possible. Let's not forget about that. Let's not. Yes, he went into multiple finals with... Oh, not multiple. He went to the finals with Jason Kidd and Kenyon Martin and Richard Jefferson and stuff like that for the New York Nets. Oh, New Jersey Nets, sorry. Yes, he's done that. But he's not on this caliber. So don't clown these people... You know, and don't clown Adam Silver for saying like, oh, this needed to happen and this deserves to happen. And I think that was a reflection of all the fans. It's a true reflection, at least maybe not Dirk Nowitzki, but for Dwayne Wade, it's a reflection of how much the fans love him. And at the end of the day, this All-Star game is about giving the fans what they want and showcasing not only the best talent that we have, but respecting people that have changed the game forever. So I give kudos to Adam Silver for what he's done and been able to do, you know, being a progressive leader in the sport. If it be even gambling per se or doing this, you know, on a myriad of levels, this guy has influenced the game immensely. So congrats to Adam Silver, and also congrats to Dwayne Wade and Dirk Nowitzki. It's actually ironic though, because at least we know that Dwayne Wade's retiring, so it's like a nice swan song for him. Blah 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 blah. But it'd be funny if Dirk Nowitzki turns around and goes like, "Yeah, you know, I don't know why you did that, because I'm actually not retiring. I'm going to play next year with Donzingis and Donzingis." And then do we go, does he get into another All-Star game, or what happens there? There is also some confusion as well as like does this happen every year? Does that mean maybe Vince Carter gets it next year? What happens if there's no players for that year? Blah, 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 blah. I think it's definitely just a case-by-case basis, this one is. I don't think that you don't need to really delve too deep in this. If a guy is an amazing player and deserves to be commemorated for his success in an All-Star game, that's definitely going to happen. Alright, let's just not overcomplicate it. Besides that, when I say besides that, there's so much more stuff I would really want to get into, but, I don't really want to bore you with all the stuff, and you've probably already heard it before. But thanks for listening to the podcast. Obviously, there's a lot more ways that you can find me. You can find me on Twitter at 26shotsofjd. Tweet me any questions, queries, things like that. Maybe topics you want me to talk about, or things you want me to address on the podcast. If you don't like Twitter, don't use Twitter, or don't have Twitter, you can find me on Instagram. Just type in 23shotsofjd. You can find me. That's probably the best way to contact me. I'm always on Instagram, so follow me, DM me. Again, any questions, queries, things you want me to talk about, topics and all that. That's probably the best way that you can probably interact with me. But if you don't like using social media like Twitter, Instagram, you can definitely email me 23shotsofjd@gmail.com. Again, questions, queries, any topics you want me to talk about, chucking your homework in there. Maybe I could help you out, be a tutor or something. I don't know, whatever you guys want me to do. But yeah, besides that, I think it's about it. Who knows what's gonna happen next week? By the time this podcast comes out, who knows? Maybe it's like Kyrie Irving gets traded to the Clippers or some BS. Maybe it's just going to be some wild stuff. And I think it's definitely going to be wild with what? It's just maybe, I think it's 3 more days till the NBA trade deadline's done. So, God, it is going to be pretty hectic. But, yeah. Bye!